What's up, crew? Hey, D Tidwell here, Enduro MTB Training and MTB Strong. Here to talk about and do actually a two-part series on the 7 primal movement patterns, which my mentor from back in the day, Paul Check, kind of came up with back about in the late 90s-ish, something like that. But it's a pretty simple concept, but it's a powerful one for us athletes, any athlete really, but mountain bikers also, since that is what we like to do. So 7 primal movement patterns. These are the patterns actually that are built into our DNA as it relates to being human and our ability to move and perform. Those are squatting, lunging, bending, pushing, pulling, twisting, and gait. Okay. Now the ones that I'll be talking about today, and then we'll kind of show you exercises on and progressions thereof, are the 6. Gait obviously is walking. But it also can be running, sprinting, doing stairs, all of which, of course, I do recommend that you do on a semi-regular basis. A mountain biker running? What? Yep, it's good for you. Did one today, as a matter of fact, and it felt pretty good. But we'll break down these 2 videos, this one being number 1, where we'll go through some squatting, lunging, and bending exercise moves that you can use this off season to kind of create your own workout program, so to speak, with some ideas here. Of course, I will be having a pretty big business shift that's going to benefit you coming out in a few weeks here, so I'll let you know when that is. And then video number 2, we'll do push, pull, and a twist. I did put an asterisk next to twist because twist isn't necessarily a lower body primal movement pattern by itself. The upper body can actually have a twist into it as well. So we can separate our upper and lower body with the thoracic upper body and pelvis lower body. I'm just going to put it in the upper body aspect, the videos here. So again, when we were born as little baby humans, first thing we wanted to do is try to lift our heads, especially if we're on our stomachs. This is an innate reflex that is developed during that time. From there, we progress, right? We go from trying to lift our head up to trying to lift our head up when we're sitting on or laying on our back, then to rolling over and pushing ourselves up, which is the push move. The rolling over is the twist move, for example. Going to a crawling phase, which is really sort of a combination of all of these things, if you will. That's why we can use rolling techniques, for example, to re-engage some of the primal instincts of our nervous system. We go from rolling, we go to trying to pull ourselves up to stand, and then eventually we can stand, and then eventually we can walk. It's actually a pretty miraculous thing, what we can do as humans from babies as we develop. It's pretty fascinating. And then eventually we can do all these things. The funny thing is, and the sad part actually, is now in today's society, because of our seated workstation positions, for the most part, we have a very much decreased ability to do these things. Okay? If you don't use it, you lose it, period. Arthritis is simply body rust. It's a dehydration of the joint and the ligaments and tendons, etc., and decreased contractile qualities of the muscle that attaches to that joint. I mean, hello, it's a circulation issue. But when you're sitting all day, you certainly lose all these abilities. And as mountain bikers, a lot of us do that, right? So being able to do each of these things well as an athlete for as long as you can means that you're going to also be a very good mountain biker as you try to work into becoming a better mountain biker, but also from a longevity standpoint, being able to do it for a long time. And everything else that you like to do, any other sport. If you are good at these 7 things, you will have the potential to be good at all the sports that you want to play for as long as you want to play it. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to do, like I said, video number 1, we're going to do squatting, lunging, and bending. So here we go. Squatting, lunging, bending, starting with squat. So progressions on squat, let's think about different things. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because they're pretty simple. The rules are always the same. Shoulders width for the most part. You can turn your toes out. They can be up to 15 degrees. I just care that the middle of your kneecaps track over your second toe not inward, not excessively outward, okay? So we're here, we're equal stance, we're 50-50. We have the same foot turned out the same way as the other. Body weight squat, knees bend, hips go back, neutral spine, right? So knees bend, hips go back, neutral spine, okay? Don't bother me with no-go knees over the toes. It's baloney. You have to take advantage of the dorsiflexion capability in your ankles. And the way you do that is you train it. As long as my heels don't come up, I'm good, okay? Because when we downhill, we have huge amounts of dorsiflexion, keeping that back heel down, keeping our heels down in general downhilling. So this is how we can train it, is take advantage of the ability that you have in each joint. Now, if it's a restricted joint, that's a whole other thing, but we won't go there. So body weight squat, we can do body weight squats. We can do a single leg body weight squat with all of the same other rules still in play. Nothing else changes, right? So you can do a single leg squat. We can do, obviously, a bar squat, right? Same rules, nothing applies. Head up, eyes straight. They don't go up and your head doesn't go up. Shoulder blades together. We're squatting. Normal, okay? Normal squatting move. Try to be the best squatter you can be, okay? From there, you can go to things like a Bosu squat. You can do a Bosu squat, taking your good old-fashioned Bosu, stepping on there. You can do kettlebell squats. You can do goblet squats, of course, air squats. Okay, you can put a band between your knees on all of these to help with your abductors, okay, the stabilizers of the hip. That helps a ton as well for stability, since all of those tend to go to sleep from being seated most of the day. So from a squatting standpoint, we have many of those options. And what you want to do, excuse me while I try to get my breath, is do, you know, a 12 rep to 20 rep with body weight stuff. You start with 12 reps on the body on the bar right now. This time of year, because you want to build muscle mass right now, working your way down into the 8 rep range. As you move through the early part of 2019, you start going into the 10 rep range, the 8 and 6 for strength and power. So you modify those and you change those. Okay, so that's your squat. Lunging. This is where, for sure, we don't want the heel to come up. Knee can still go over the front toe, but we can't have this at all, okay? So I don't care how long your lunge is. You can do a short lunge as long as your pelvis and your knees are able to track well. I am okay with you doing a short lunge, because really our 700, 750 mil cranks, whatever you're using, they're not that long. So, 170, 175. I just gave you handlebar numbers. Ha! So to do a lunge well with everything on track, and then being able to also do a long lunge is fine with me. Okay, I'm okay with that. So we can do a regular lunge like that. Of course, doing a straight forward lunge, doing a back lunge, doing a side lunge, okay? These are all variations of the lunge that you can do. Doing a weighted bar lunge, of course, back lunge and or front lunge is good. You can do a single leg static to knee drive lunge, single leg static to rotation. Okay, we have many different variations of the lunge as well. We can even go where back leg is up on something like a bench. Back leg up on bench, lunge. Okay, and you're lunging downward like such. Okay, like such. That leg stays still, you work that other leg. Many different variations. Those are all progressions, right? So think about progressions, starting simply, owning that simplistic move, then loading, okay? We don't want to load. Loading could be weight, but loading can also be speed, right? So doing something fast in the beginning is very detrimental because your body will tense up to preserve or protect. So I always suggest this time of year doing like a 303, a 3 seconds down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, slow and controlled, own and manage the move. Eventually come February, March, and then again probably in May, you know, we're doing a XOX, which is a jump lunge, XOX, right? But you have to be able to manage your speed by being good at the basics in the beginning, okay? Now, bend, classic bend, of course, is a deadlift. So doing a floor up deadlift, such as this, you can see that this is elevated. Please start your deadlift, if you're gonna do a regular deadlift, from the ground. From the point that you can keep your back flat or neutral, and that's where you start from, okay? So if you're in this position and your lumbar spine is rounded and you're rounded, that means you should raise your starting position so that you can get your back flat and work on the hip hinge pattern or bend pattern with a neutral spine. It does you no good to teach yourself how to pick something up heavy from the floor with your lumbar spine exposed by being rounded and your glutes not being able to activate effectively, and you're just loading that spine and all those erector spinae muscles of the lower back. So get good at picking stuff up within your body's limitations. It might be a hip thing, maybe it's a knee or an ankle issue. Be aware of those things. Those things, your weaknesses in your body, wherever they may be, will always incur the most stress, okay? They'll also be the limiting factor of you progressing. So we can do a regular deadlift. You can also do, of course, the Romanian, which is from the top down, okay, from here. Once again, pushing that butt back. I like my bar to go a little bit lower than my shin. I could go lower than that, no problem, because I can do this and go real low and keep my spine low, or my spine flat. So please don't sacrifice weight for form. It's stupid. And anytime you work on, or you magnify, or you solidify, or exacerbate poor form, it shows up on your bike and your ability to have good skills and learn good skills too. So doing really good clean movement in the gym helps you out on the trail when it matters most for us, right? Another bend could be like single leg Romanian deadlift, where we're here and we're hinging with a neutral spine and we're back up. Okay, a complex move, for example, would be to come down, row, unrow, come up, curl, press for 1 rep. Okay, now, like on all of these things, especially the lunge, you gotta make sure that your pelvis isn't twisting just because I lift one leg. A lot of people like to have one leg lifted and all of a sudden their pelvis is wonky. Okay, we don't want that. As riders, even though we do have a different position of our femurs, our pelvis still wants to be straight, except of course when we're diving into corners and whatnot. But most of the soft tissue issues that I work on people with typically generate from poor patterning and form in the gym, repetitive stress on the bike, i.e. not switching feet downhilling, for example, and then things like seated workstation. So prior history of injury, obviously, but so there's video 1, okay? Different variations of a squat, a lunge, and a bend, okay, that you can put into your programs and use as the foundation of all your programs if you are interested in creating your own. If not, you have people like me to help, and that always is EnduroMTBtraining.com and info@EnduroMTBtraining.com if you have questions. So, all right, video 1, done. Enjoy those, work on them. Any questions, give me a holler.
See ya.